it's funny because like at the time, a lot of people were inspired by Tom to One, for example, or Durr, right? So lots of people were like, oh, let's do something like that. So I had a couple of uni mates who were like, oh, I'm going to pick a really kind of angsty, tilting name. And I was like, I'm just going to be Texas Tommo because I played Texas Hold'em mainly. And then I was at the Omaha high-low tables. Didn't really work. Didn't really make sense, so... A lot of the guys at 20s, by the way, a lot of these regs could be actually end up being 651 regs. I'm not sure, but we have lots of guys playing 20s. We have lots of guys playing 50s, 10s, 100s, etc., etc. Isaac's going to try and find his fun spin and go hand sending. Lovely. We'll take it as well. I'm going to queue them up so we can be ready to read them all. Kings is, again, a nice hand. And I raise you fold. We're not folding. Sorry. Nice. Guys, that's okay. Doyle hasn't been a Texas Doyle either. The Texas Dolly's not been a Texas. Amazing. I would love to go there. It's like a, you know, this same with Vegas, right? Is that you kind of see it as, in many ways, the Vegas of poker. And there may be a 601 trip happening this year to Vegas, which would be like kind of the culmination of a lot of dreams over the years, which would be very exciting, you know. And so, yeah, could be really, really exciting. So typically you see a 9x probe. We have been... I'm going to check again, actually. See if we can do something. We have some 8x in our range. Not impossible, right? We'd probably bet some 8x, but we check some 8x. Any 8x we would check, we'd definitely check on the turn. Place a 2B bet here. 8x is realistically is part of our opponent's range. I mean, 8, 7, 8, jack are going to be very natural checks and checks back. So I think we can fold. We can raise as well sometimes, but we have... Me and De Niro have been messing about a little bit, so I think not the best to just try and force it here. Interest Leisure Crumbleson could imagine myself listening on the beach after I ship the jackpot. I tell you, that's the main thing I will do. When I ship the jackpot, I will mainly be paying Joe to write some more 601 songs, I think. Okay, 3, let's go. 59.9%, 78.1%, 90.9%, 100%, baby. Slightly shallow stacks here, so it's typically fewer 9x, although maybe King 9 off is still going to be part of the min raise bluff range. Some suited 9x is mainly going to jam, and you wouldn't expect too much 10 9, Queen 9, Jack 9 to min raise. So there is some room to like turn this into a bluff and just go for it. I'm going to fold though. I like to talk about the potential of bluffing and then not take it, you know. I can't believe you've not been to Vegas either. I know. Too busy. My poker tours. So here's the exotic places I've been on poker tour. Nottingham. Very nice. I've been to Bristol. Nice. Edinburgh. Nice. London, of course. Coventry. I've been to the Isle of Man. Nice little trip to the Isle of Man. Cork in Ireland, Dublin in Ireland, and that's about it, I think. Oh no, and Spain twice. These are my poker tours. Oh no, and Portugal as well. Okay, so we've been we've been to a few places around Western Europe. I will say that. Not too bad actually. To be fair, it's more than I was initially thinking I had been on. So, okay. All right. We can try and V-pip 6-8, although again, De Niro certainly. I think given our image, I'm not so sure it makes too much sense to try and mess about. It's a very marginal hand, and if we have a good image. As in, let's say good image. I mean, if we have a nitty image, a clean image, if you like, makes the bottom of the range typically slightly over-realized. And if we've got a bit of a raggy image, maybe I can use that term, a bluffy image or whatever, we're going to slightly over-realize with the top of the range. And so that's a nice little trick you can do. Is just, if you've had this dynamic with people and you're trying to think, well, how do I actually adjust correctly? Well, just think, do they think you're bluffy or value betty? If that makes sense. If they think you're value betty, more of your bottom range. If you think you're bluffy, more of your top range. If that makes sense. Happy days. Nice to hit the river. Akamati says, hi Tommo, do you recommend to min 3-bet in reg speeds? And if so, what hands are we should min 3-bet? So I wouldn't min 3-bet. 3-bet in general is definitely something you should do. 3-bet non-all-in is definitely hands you can do. In both ultras and reg speeds. I wouldn't really do it in ultras below 13 BB or 14 BB realistically. But 15 BB you still definitely have some min 3-bets with hands like this. Not min 3-bet, sorry, but 3-bet non-all-ins. Good luck. Can we hold? No 3. That's good. No queen. Nice. Happy with the $100 there. Excellent. So $100. And then we play one more. 24. Now, should we risk a 50? I think we're going to risk a 50, ladies and gentlemen. Wish us luck. This is the first $50 of the bankroll challenge. So I need to actually go back to the 44 and now I need to take 09. We'll try. We could do a reg speed too. No, we're going to do, maybe we should have done a reg speed, but we'll try. So Akamati, yes. 25 BB deep, I would definitely 3-bet aces, kings, queens, for example. In terms of bluffs, you can take some hands which have blockers. The best kind of bluffs would be taking hands that are blocker related, so block hands that can continue, and then also would be like marginal call or fold. You don't really, typically you don't want to take very plus EV. You wouldn't typically 3-bet non in this hand, for example. It's a very plus EV call, so we can call. You can 3-bet value 3-bet Jack 10 suited in this position. It's pretty fun to do at 15 BB, but yeah, we'll just check it. So your value's pretty set, right? Aces, kings, ace king suit sometimes from both the big blind and small blind versus 3-handed. Heads up, you can also do this. Heads up a bit more. Yeah, you can go a bit more thin for value in certain spots as well. Depends a bit on the image you have. And again, if you have a bluffy image, 3-bet more value. If you have a bluffy image, 3-bet more bluffs. Sorry, if you have a value image, 3-bet more bluffs. Does that make sense? Hope it makes sense. We got a gut shot, so we're cool. We got a backdoor flush draw, so we're cool. We got a jack, not very good. Check, check. We'll take, and we'll take a 9. Take a jack. Okay, interesting. So now the jack comes in. So like, there's not many pairs. I would say would be other than 8-9, which isn't really likely. Ace king is the main candidate we're worried about. King jack 2, by the way. So we could go for a little block bet, which I think is what we're going to do. We've got a snap fold. Okay. He was like, I'm done with this hand. I am done with his hands. Fair play. Try a little block bet. Hoping to get called by like ace 10 maybe, but I'm not so sure. Ace 10 probably raises. King 10 maybe, and 10-9 and stuff. But that might also, I'm not sure. Buen español, mi amigo. De nada. I prefer whiskey. Good evening, Mr. Tommo. Good evening, I prefer whiskey. You've joined us for the last game where we're playing the high stakes of $50 games now. 35 so it's around the glory days of the mid-2000s. I mean, it's like, you get those moments when you think like, I imagine you had a time machine and you could go back to 2004 or 2006, right? And just party poker, right? Cash games. Wow. If anyone doesn't know what I'm talking about, if anyone was born 95 or later, or actually even 93 or later, you would have unfortunately been missing. But I was online in 2008. Even then, it was like good times, right? And then Black Friday happened in 2011, 2010, not sure, 2011. Bad. Hey, we got a flush. That's nice. We could have donked this because we know HM Beltran didn't really enjoy our probe last time. So we're going to go for a min bet. Hopefully he's got Jack 10 and raises. Maybe he's got a 9. He obviously doesn't have too much in terms of value other than that. Pocket 9s would be pretty sick. But we get a fold. Could we have checked and maybe let him bluff? Maybe, but it's, I don't know. Nah. Just going to jam 7-8. I have very low hopes for the US legislation. It's too low on the priority list for everyone, even though it'd be so simple to implement. God knows the government could use that revenue. It does feel like, I don't know, if they're trying, it feels like slowly, right? That state by state come along. Obviously, I'm not anticipating it worldwide, but one of the guys one of our founders of 651, Jason, is quite optimistic about at least interstate US online poker legislation, and advocate that even for guys, even Europeans that wouldn't be able to access the US poker market. Can we win this flip, by the way? 9-5 spade. No. Oh, that's for $100. We'd have loved it. You've been lurking for a while. You're very welcome. Shout out to all the lurkers, by the way. Always a fan of the lurkers. We're going to do a lurking hour one day, but no one's allowed to chat. It's just going to be me talking to the lurkers on my own. Oh, we lost the flip. 5 or 6? GG. Should I always... So Grazio says here, should I always block bet river versus reg here if I ever notice half-pot barrels are bluffs? So let's play through the hand. So we think this is a reg, and our note on the reg is their half-pot barrels are bluffs. Okay. Difficult note to take, but we'll see. So check bet. Now, it was a min raise pre. Okay, so we're 22 bigs. Min raise pre, we're cool. Check bet, cool. Looks fine so far. 10 comes. We see a 70 BB bet. Now we think they're always bluffs, so calling seems pretty solid. And a 5 of diamonds comes. Now we think he was always bluffing. Do we think he bluffs river is the question. I wouldn't go ahead and donk this hand. So the reason I wouldn't donk this is when he bets the turn, half pot here, he's saying he's got a strong hand, right? You're not going to bet this turn 70 with pocket sixes, right? Or an 8x, because why would you bet half pot with an 8x? What are you trying to get called by? You're basically saying I've got a 10x or better. I've got a 10, I've got an ace, I've got jacks, queens, kings. Or they're just bluffing, right? And so I think when this river comes, there isn't that many, typically not that many 9s or 7s or 6s or 8x, that if we donk here, I don't anticipate too many in the court. Now, it could be that he's got some queen high, jack high, king high, and maybe we block and he calls those hands. But having the king's pretty bad for us in terms of we want him to have king highs to call if he's bluffing those. So I think checking's absolutely fine. I think he played the hand well. It's very potentially, yeah, I would typically, if you were going to try and construct a donkey range, you'd obviously have some 5x for value, and then you could have some bluffs, which would be like, I don't know, 9-7, jack 9 off or something like that. But because of that, you'd probably actually want to go bigger, right? Because your value range is pretty happy to get a lot of value. So you might want to donk half pot here or something, or even pot, and just put in some bluffs to match that. Your best bluffs in terms of blocking his calls. He shoves. I guess we'll just call instead. Pocket 8s. So yeah. Do I ever fold? I mean, you said you thought his half pot barrels are bluffs. Turn up pot values only ace 8, 8, 8, 10, 10, 5, 5. Yeah. So as I said, I mean, I think when he shoves the river, he's saying he's got, now at this point, the river, I would say he's probably repping, as you say, trips plus. And it's not really 5x in this betting range. He could have 8-5, he could have 10-5, he could obviously have aces, 5s, 8s, and 10s. 10-8's not going to value bet river. Ace 10 probably will, ace 8 probably will. Ace king, don't know, maybe, possibly. I think if you think he's bluffing a lot of turns, you can call river. Because there is still a huge amount of bluffs. And if we quickly pull up Flopzilla, let me shut Party Poker first, just to give you guys an example of what we'd be wanting to see. So in this spot, let's try and get that here. So you can see, right, we've got ace of hearts, 5 of clubs, 8 of diamonds, 10 of hearts, 5 of diamonds. All right. And we've got king of clubs, 10 of diamonds. Okay. So this is our hand. And then we just have to think about the range. So let's say the value range is aces, 10s, 8s clearly, 10-5 off. Does he min raise 10-5 off? I'm not sure, but 10-5 suited certainly there. Maybe 10-5 off, we're not sure, but could be there. 8-5 suited is definitely going to be there. Maybe, look at ace king, but probably not. I mean, ace king off could min raise, I'm not sure. So this is probably his value range, right? And then let's give him 2 bluffs, 9-7 and 9-6, for example. And now we have a pretty massive call in terms of the equity, right? So in terms of the price we need, let's call it a pot size bet. We need 1-3. We need 33% to break even. And you see, with the 2 9-7, 9-6 bluffs, we have 52%. So if we add it, let's say, well, actually, I think he's got more value. Okay, so let's say he's got every combo of 8-5 off. And he's going to have ace 10, always reasonable. And he's going to have ace 8. Okay. You can see, still 30%. We still have a plus EV call, assuming he doesn't check back 9-7, 9-6. Now, he could have maybe not bluffed, maybe bluff those. I'm not sure, but yes, there's you can see like it's so easy to there's, as you say, very small amounts of combos. We're looking at 41 value combos. We can obviously add to that. So let's say he takes ace jack, ace 10 plus or ace 9 plus, right? This is pretty much quite a lot of value now. And so now you say, well, now we have 77 value combos. How many bluffs would we need to see to make this a plus EV call? And again, let's say he takes a gut shot on the turn, 9-7, 9-6, and maybe takes a 6-4 off. And even then, just three, we'll give the suited ones as well. But again, they're very, very plus EV call. So I'd want to be very, very confident that you'd have to be very confident that you won't see a hand like 9-7, 9-6, 6-4 to want to fold this hand. Because we also, we could do the whole hand, right? But he's going to, on the flop, he's basically going to bet range on the flop. And whatever is, the question is, if you've got a HUD, what is his min raising frequency? If he's been raising 6%, it changes everything, right? Because if he's been raising just the top 6% of his range, well, let's say he shoves on the river his air and his trips plus. Well, now you have not a good call because his nothing would be king queen suited. Don't think he shoves that anyway. And his full houses are this. So there are some other things to think about, but combos are so important. And so, yeah, that's definitely an interesting hand. I think just a bit unlucky, to be honest.